Hey everybody, Ace Trainer Liam here. First of all, let me apologise for not making a video last week. I literally just changed jobs and it was quite a stressful week and I just didn't have the energy to make a video. I did record one, I just didn't edit it, so if you do see a video pop up in the next few weeks where my hair's suddenly grown back, that'd be why, it'd be that video. So apologies for not making the video, but I'm back, I'm positive as ever, and let's get cracking. This week's video is going to be quite a popular topic. I know a lot of YouTubers have done it before. It's difficult sometimes with a brand like Pokemon to make a unique video because there's only so much to the franchise. So this week I'm going to do a video that you've probably seen before from other people. I think Tamashi Hiroka has recently done this, don't quote me. But I'm going to do my favourite Pokemon of each type. So it's a nice, straightforward, simple video. I'm going to name all the types, all 18 of them, and which Pokemon is my favourite. It's going to be difficult with some of them because some of the types I just never tend to use, and it's going to be really easy with some of them because there are so many awesome Pokemon to choose from. So here we go. Favourite Pokemon of each type. First up we have the normal type, which was a difficult one to choose from because normal types aren't particularly strong, and everywhere you go someone's got a fighting type move that will knock you flat out. I chose Ferret because Ferret's adorable. It was in my top 10 cutest Pokemon list, and it's just exactly what it says on the tin. It's an adorable Pokemon. It's cute, it's not particularly strong in battle and never will be, it'll never be an effective part of any team, but it's just a Pokemon that I always strive to catch as quickly as possible. As soon as I see the Centra in an area, bang, let's get it, let's evolve it, and let's keep it in our team, even if it's just the 6th slot and doesn't ever come out into battle, at least I've got Ferret by my side. Next up we've got the Steel type. This one was really hard. I find a lot of Steel types really boring. They're all very samey, they're all... I get they've got a lot of resistances, okay? But they're just a bit plain, there's not a lot to them. I almost chose Klefki because it's kind of cute, but then I thought, no, I'm a water type trainer. So I went Empoleon. Empoleon looks cool, it's strong, it's an effective member of your team. It has a few weaknesses, but not many compared to a lot of Pokemon on the field. And of course it evolves from Piplup, so it gives me the option to choose Piplup from the get-go and still get a formidable Steel type at the end of it. For the fighting type I chose Hitmonlee. The reason being is it was one of my favourites as a child, and I always, in Red and Blue, always chose Hitmonlee when given the option. And I always kept it in my team for a very long time, and I really liked it when it appeared in the anime, the few times that it did. So Hitmonlee is always, as soon as I think of fighting types, I think of Hitmonlee instantly. For Psychic, I chose Inkay. The reason being is that it's absolutely adorable. If I could have a Pokemon in real life, this thing would be on my top 10 list. I've just had a brilliant idea for a video. I know it's not an effective battler because A, it's an unevolved Pokemon, and B, it's 4 times weak to Bug of all things. But if you know anything about me by now, I don't pick Pokemon based on their effectiveness. I pick Pokemon based on looks, because I'm shallow as hell. For the Ghost type, I picked Haunter. The reason being is that when I was a kid and I played Red and Blue, I didn't have a link cable. And my best friend at the time, Joe, who was the only person I knew that had Pokemon as well, didn't have a link cable. So we couldn't trade, so I couldn't evolve Haunter, ever. So I kept it in my party, took it all the way to the Hall of Fame. So for me, favourite Ghost type is Haunter, because it's the one I've had the most experience with. Fairy type was a really hard choice again for me because, like with Steel types, I don't really use them, or if I do use them, I don't use them effectively. So I chose Wigglytuff purely because it's cute, it's squidgy, it's adorable. I love it in the anime when it turns up saying, "What's more? What's more?" Why is the voice of my Wigglytuff so friggin' low? What more? What more? What more? I need to stop. Now. For Poison, Mr. Nidoking is back. As I've said in previous videos, I freaking love Nidoking. I've always had it in my team. It's just one of those Pokemon that I will never stop loving. It's a friggin' brilliant Pokemon. It's tough, it's mean, yeah, Earthquake pretty much destroys it, but it's still cool, and I still love it. Poison type, bam, Nidoking, always. For the ground type, which is the Pokemon that I love so much that can kick Nidoking's ass? Rhydon. The Pokemon that I had a big Mardy rant about in my last video because of its evolution. But let's not talk about that rubbish right now. Nearly said a bad word. Oops. Rhydon is brilliant. Rhydon is what a Pokemon should look like. There's a reason it was the first Pokemon programmed into Red and Green, because it's friggin' brilliant. Rhydon, best ground type. I'm actually really getting into this list. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know why, because I'm just listing Pokemon that are great, but here we go. Ice type, Lapras, definitely. I always have a Lapras in my team. I seem to say that about everything from Generation 1. I always have a Gen 1 Pokemon of this type in my team. But yeah, Lapras, fantastic Pokemon. It's bulky, it can attack when it needs to, and it's stood the test of time. It's a Generation 1 Pokemon. It doesn't evolve, it doesn't have a Mega Evolution, it just cleans house and sticks around and stalls people out for days and days and weeks and years, and for 20 years Lapras has been amazing. Yeah, it's weak to electric, and yeah, it's weak to grass and whatever. It's a great Pokemon. It looks the part, it's brilliant. I just really like Lapras, and there aren't really that many ice types for it to contend with, so Lapras gets in there and wins by a mile. For rock type, it's Tyrantrum. Everybody loves dinosaurs, and everybody loves a T-Rex, and for a T-Rex that has such a regal, royal look to it, that's what I look for in a cool rock type Pokemon. It's killer. The rock type was a hard decision anyway, because all the fossil Pokemon are rock type, and then some secondary typing. So it was a tough list to choose from, but Tyrantrum is just too awesome to leave off this list. My favourite grass type is Chestnut, because I've bonded with Chestnut over the last few months with the Nuzlocke I've been doing at home. It's just a big, intimidating, spiky ball of death. Some would argue it's a bit too human-like. I don't class having arms and legs as being human-like. It's just on its hind legs, no biggie. I like its design, I like how tough it is, I ignore the fact that it's 4 times weak to flying, but everything I like seems to be 4 times weak to something. Plus, as I looked through the plethora of grass-type Pokemon, there just wasn't anything jumping out at me that I liked as much as Chestnut. Victreebel almost got in there, but no, Chestnut all the way. For my favourite bug type, we have a perfect example of me being a stupid kid. As a kid, I always caught Caterpie, and I always evolved into Butterfree. It was always my first Pokemon to get to its final evolution so quickly, and I was convinced that because it learns Confusion at level 10, that it was a Psychic Pokemon as well, that it was Bug and Psychic. So I always played Red and Blue all the way through, convinced that Butterfree was Bug and Psychic. I don't know how I got through the battles I did, thinking that it was a Psychic type, but Butterfree, definitely my favourite bug type. For the water type, you guys know this already, it's Poliwhirl. There's a reason I never evolved Poliwhirl, it's because it's one of my favourite Pokemon. I don't want to evolve into Politoed, I don't want to evolve into Poliwrath, because I love Poliwhirl. As a water type trainer, this is my favourite water type, and this Pokemon ain't going nowhere from this list. I love Poliwhirl's look, I love its design, I love its chunky little hands, I love its swirl on its stomach, I love that it's not a weird triangle shape like Poliwrath. I really don't have broad enough shoulders to do that impression. Just love Poliwhirl, can't fault it. If there was a Pokemon I could have in real life, that's the one I want. For my favourite electric type, I was gonna go with Heliolisk, but its normal typing puts me off. I think it's a cute Pokemon, I think it's got a great look, I just don't like that it's got the normal typing as well, because I only see it as a disadvantage. Nothing's weak to normal, but normal is weak to fighting, so you've just thrown in an extra weakness for no reason, to no benefit. So I went with Raichu, because in Generation 1, your Pikachu's so fat, and nobody wants a fat Pikachu. If I'm gonna have a fat Pikachu, I'm gonna evolve it into a Raichu. Simple as. Raichu is just a cool Pokemon, and sometimes part of me wishes Ash would evolve his Pikachu, but at the same time, I know that wouldn't work for the anime, especially 20 years on. For the flying type, I've chosen Talonflame. It was close to being Pidgeot, because in Generation 1, Pidgeot was the shiz. Pidgeot was so cool, and for years, Pidgeot for me was superior to all the other bird types, because it was the original, and I'm one of those people. But Talonflame has kicked Pidgeot's backside. Talonflame, as of Generation 6, makes things so much easier, because it's a flying Pokemon, learns fly, has the flame body ability, so bang, straight in the start of your party, and it makes the breeding process just so much more streamlined. You can argue that with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, with the continuous path being on the same island for the battle resort, where the IV guy is and where the daycare is, you don't really need Talonflame to be your flame body Pokemon, because it doesn't need to fly anywhere. But it's still a brilliant Pokemon. It's fast, it's strong, it's cool looking, and I'm happy for it to be my favourite flying type. My favourite dragon type is Noivern. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't get enough of this Pokemon. I have one in my team. It's one of my favourite Pokemon ever. It's just a brilliant Pokemon. It's a cool looking flying dragon with a massive set of sound producing ear things, and that's cool for me. I love sound-based Pokemon for some reason, so things like Exploud appeal to me, but Dragon type, it's gotta be Noivern. Love Noivern. For my favourite dark type, it's kind of a tie between Skuntank and Crocodile. I love Crocodile because it's intimidating. It looks tough as nails. Its whole reason to be is it's the intimidation Pokemon, and it has brilliant abilities. It can have Intimidate, or it can have Moxie, so it raises its attack every time it knocks a Pokemon out, and its hidden ability is Anger Point, so if it's hit by a critical hit, it maxes out its attack stat. It's just a bulky, angry Pokemon, and I love that. As for Skuntank, I just think it's a really cool Pokemon. I know that it's just a big-ass skunk, and that's all there really is to it. It's your typical poison type as well, but I like its moveset. I like how unconventional it is in the sense that it knows its dark type moves, it knows its poison type moves, but at the same time, when it evolves from Stunky into Skuntank, it automatically learns Flamethrower. Just cause, you know? Skunks naturally can't use Flamethrower. Tanks, some tanks have Flamethrowers, I suppose that's where it comes from maybe, but it just seems so out of the blue that it just cracks me up. And that's one of the things I love about this Pokemon, is I just think it's quite silly. And not to mention, it learns Explosion, so after everything, it just blows the hell up. Which is great! Skuntank probably is my #1 dark type. Sorry Crocodile, but Skuntank. Oh my god. Last of all, my favourite fire type. Now, I was tempted to go down the Charizard route because I love Charmeleon, and Charizard is just a cool Pokemon. But no, Charizard isn't my favourite fire type. It's just beaten by a hair by Arcanine. I just love dogs. I've had dogs all my life. Ever since I was a kid, we've had a dog in the house. We used to have 2, then when they passed on, we have another dog. Now we have Tilly, and I can't get enough of Tilly. She's brilliant. Love dogs. Love how loyal they are. Love how loving they are. Love how nothing seems to bother a dog. I think it's great. They don't care. Nothing upsets a dog. It's great. And Arcanine, being a dog, and being able to use Flamethrower is great for me. Just love it. It's just a great fire type. I can't stress enough how great Arcanine is. It's just, you know, it's a legendary dog. It just appeals to me in so many ways. So Arcanine is my favourite fire type, and I'm really hoping I haven't missed any types out, but I'm sure you'll all let me know. Of course. So thanks everybody for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments section what you thought of my choices, or what your favourite Pokemon of each type are. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whichever you want. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. I try and reply as much as possible. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next video. But for now, keep on training.